Hi guys, it's Patina with Atomica Nuclei Tin Jewelry today, and we are going to do some more altered tin. Today we are working with this piece, and it is kind of a gold and brownish color tin. It's just a basic tin. I've gone ahead and cut out this oval with a Sizzix movers and shapers die that I have put on the corresponding shuttle, and I ran it through my big kick machine. Okay, so I've already got that part done. And for this center circle, I punched that out with this cutter. Okay, so invest in a good cutter for like circles and things that have to be symmetrical. This one came from Rio Grande, and it's fabulous. Okay, so anyway, we have the edges all sanded smooth, and you have to be sure to sand the inside of your circle. And now we're ready to put a texture on this. So we're going to use an embossing plate. Okay, so we've got this design that comes from Spellbinders. So if you have thin tin, like this one's kind of thin, and I dislike really thin tin, so if I come across tin that's really thin, I make sure to always emboss it, because that will help give the tin more structure and not make it as flimsy. It kind of, in a sense, work hardens it, because it binds those little medical particles together a little bit. So anyway, what we're going to do is decide on where we want this, and I'm pretty sure I want it to be kind of like right in the middle. So I'm going to put it back here, and I want to line up this part of the bottom of this like teardrop shape. I want it to be kind of in the middle there, and then I want to be able to put the dots on each side. I do want them to come up and around the edge. Okay, so I'm going to get that centered, and then I'm going to take a piece of this painter's tape, and this painter's tape will help keep it where it's supposed to be so it doesn't move around when I put it through the big kick to put that pattern on there. You don't need a very big piece. I just need something to keep it on there. Let me take a look, make sure that that's where I want it to be. If not, I'm going to move it a little bit, kind of play around with it. All right, so that look pretty good. Okay, got it where I want it. Okay, so now we're going to put this through the big kick. Okay, now this one we'll have to see. These Spellbinders are quite thick, and sometimes, usually you would put like this plate, you'd put it between two plates. We'll see if we can do that in your pad here. But sometimes these Spellbinder ones are kind of thick, so you just kind of use something a little bit thinner, like another embossing plate. So we'll run this through there. There we got it. I don't force anything through this embossing, or this big kick machine, because I don't want to break it. I use it all the time. All right, we'll put that back, and we'll see what kind of impression we got. Ooh, we can tell by the back we got a really good impression on this, so that's fabulous. Okay, so we'll take this off, and be sure to get all your tape off, because you don't want to leave that tape there. It can kind of mar up your embossing plate over time. Okay, so here we go. We've got our impression on here. Okay, I'll show that to you. And see, the tin's going to bend a little bit, but we will use a tool that'll shape it into like a cupped, so it lays against your wrist real nice. But anyway, you can kind of see how it's coming about. You can see that design's on there. Okay, so now we're going to sand off this top, this design. Okay, and I just use 400 grit sandpaper that You can get it anywhere. It comes in bigger sheets. Don't expect it to come in thin little sheets like this. I cut it into little sheets like this because it's more manageable for me. But you can get it anywhere. Any box store. I get mine at Meijer in the automotive section. Okay, so we're going to sand this off so we can see the pattern real well. It does take a little bit of elbow grease sometimes, depending on, you know, what kind of paint was on here originally. Sometimes it comes off pretty easily, and other times you really gotta sand it. All right. Okay. If any of you decide to start working with tin, it is so important that you invest in a really great pair of gloves. These are those dipped gloves. You can get them online, and they're pretty inexpensive, but this will save your hands. Oh my gosh. Before I had these gloves, I cut myself all the time. And then I got these gloves, and it's not so bad. And my husband found them for me. Okay, so anyway, we wanted to sand that design. See that there? Okay, so the next step is we want to put a wash over this. This is gold. I'm wanting to add some black into this. Okay, so before we do that, we're gonna wash it off. And I'm just using a wet one's wipe. Something that, most of the time you can use a baby wipe. You can go in there and wash it with soap and water, doesn't matter. You just want to get all that off, because we're going to use some paint made to adhere to metal, but we don't want any dirt in between the paint and the metal. That'll help it not flake. Sometimes flaking is good if that's the look that you're going for. Sometimes I've gone for that look too. Just sometimes it, you know, the design just calls for something that looks worn. Okay, so we got that cleaned up real good. Clean off my sanding pad there. Okay, so here we've got it. Pretty good. All right, now we're ready to put some paint on there. All right, so I'm gonna come around here. Got a paper towel and got a paintbrush. Got a little thin paintbrush. I use this for painting. Got something to put my paint in. This is Vintage Metal Sealer and Patina Extender. Okay, so it kind of seals it, but then we're gonna blend it with the black, and it's gonna make that black thinner, because this stuff, when it comes out, it can look pretty thick. So we're gonna make it thinner with this. So we shake this up, and then put some drops in here. Doesn't take much, like two, maybe three drops, but the thing is, they always clog, so I always keep something here to unclog the tip. There we go. Maybe one. Oops, I got a ton. All right, you only want about 3 drops. I'm gonna move some of this over to the side in my bowl here. I'm not gonna use it all. So I just kind of smeared some of it off to the side, and then I'll put some of this extender in here. I usually use a 1-to-2 ratio on this, but whatever look you're going for, you might do something different. You might decide that you don't want it, you want it real thin or thick. Just once you start playing with the patinas, you'll figure out what you like. Okay, all right, there we go. So I've got this mixed off to the side here, so it's not so thick. All right, so I'm just gonna wash this over. This is still kind of thick, it's okay. Might just put some patina right on this, because we want that to be kind of thin. There we go. Get this all up in here, and it's kind of looking black, but we're gonna get it there, because we're gonna put it underneath this paper towel, and we're gonna dab off all this excess here. And see how it's changing it? So we can still see the gold and the black underneath, but it's kind of got that black top, and that's what we want. So let's kind of even it out. Go one more time here. All right. Then put it between my paper towels. Dab it off. And if you get it on your fingers, that's okay, it'll wear off. Once you go in there and put some soap and water on it, it'll come off. Oh yeah, this is what we want. Okay, so we're getting that, it's worn. So, and this is exactly what we're going for. We want that aged look on it. So you can still see, let me see. So you can still see the gold and the brown, and you can kind of see that pattern, but that's not, we're wanting to blend all those colors together, okay? So now what we want to do is come back and sand off, because we put paint all over it. So we want to sand off our pattern again, and then we'll highlight that. So get my sanding block out, put my gloves back on, because sometimes when you're sanding, you can, I make my fingers sore. Okay, so make sure that paint's dry, because it usually dries really fast. Okay, so come back in with our sanding and take off where we don't want it again. Okay. Now, if you watched another video, I had another video about this, and it was dealing with Night at the Opera Tent, that's what I'm calling it. You can see it on Facebook. But I used an India design and to emboss, and when I looked at it, I was like, what is the name of that? I could not remember the name of it for the life of me. And I call it a mandala, which is like a, I don't know why I was thinking that, but it's a mandala, and I know that. But anyway, I took it down. There were some filming errors there that, if you want to see it, you can. It's on YouTube still. I left it on my YouTube channel. Okay, so here we go. We've got that sanded off again. Let's see here. I don't know how well you can see. But anyway, here we go. We're doing pretty good. All right. Now, before we go any further, and I should have done this in the beginning, we need to put a hole. We need to put a hole in this guy. So when we attach the jump ring, it's there. All right, so I'm just gonna eyeball this. Let me see here. Which is pretty lucky, because I got this here that can help guide me. Because I'm just gonna eyeball it. Normally I would mark it pretty precise where I wanted it, but there we go. Because we'll attach a, I think I'll use copper. I'll make a copper jump ring, and I'll make a copper toggle clasp, and then when we attach our, it'll be black suede, I think is what I'm going to use. When we attach our black suede, because it's going to be a triple wrap bracelet, so when we attach it, it'll be there. So, and I use copper. I usually use copper, or I use stainless steel. Copper is easier to work with. It's a softer metal. That's stainless steel. That's hard. But I like the longevity of it, so that's why I use the stainless steel. Okay, versus any kind of like regular craft wire. Okay, so here we got it, and I'm gonna, since we sanded it again, I'm not gonna wash it with that wet wipe because it's got too much alcohol in it. But I have these baby wipes over here that are like 98 or 99% water. So we're just gonna wipe it off with some of that. Make sure we get all the grime off of there. Okay, now the next thing we're gonna do, and if you get paint on the back, you can kind of sand it off to make it look a little nicer here. And I'm showing you right now, but you can kind of get that paint off there and clean up the back a little bit. Okay. Now, I'm gonna move this a little bit because I'm gonna get our patina or Gilder's paste out. Let's see here. What color of Gilder's paste do we want? I think silver. Silver, you think? Silver? I'm not for sure. I want something that's gonna be bright. Look at this white. Okay, so Gilder's paste comes in a whole slew of colors, and I have a whole slew of colors. But I tend to kind of gravitate towards the same ones each time. So here's a cream and here's a silver. The thing with Gilder's paste is that you can layer it. You can sand it back off if you're not great, loving it. So we'll just take a look here and see what we can do. I might highlight it with the white first and I just apply it with my finger. And then you kind of want a light touch because you don't want it to go everywhere. Unless that's the look that you're going for. Sometimes the design is like, yeah, just put it on there. It looks good all over. And sometimes you're like, I just want this area right here. So just kind of follow the design. The cream's looking pretty cool. So if you're ever interested, I have everything I make on my Facebook page. And it's under the shop section. So I don't know whatever platform you're viewing on, if there's a shop tab or if it just pops up shop, on the kind of like on the feed. But you can look at everything that I've made and you can purchase straight from that shop. And in the guides portion of my Facebook page, I have details for purchasing in 2021 because unfortunately my shipping has to go up. Thought long and hard about that, but it's expensive to ship stuff. Now if you're in the Evansville, Indiana area, if you're gonna be, we can meet, avoid that. But if we can't get there, then I'm gonna have to ship it. All right, see how we're coming along here? And that's great, but we need some bling on it. We need some bling. I'm gonna wipe this part off, kind of clean my hands up a little bit with the wet ones wipe. It's got more alcohol in it. Take stuff off. I always keep wet ones and then, the ones that just have water in them, both of them. They're great for different things. Okay, so let's put some silver on here and see how that makes it pop. It's making it pop a little bit, but it's not too much different than the cream on this. It's looking okay. I might come through with some black and hit some high points. Kind of give it, because we're looking for that worn look here. So I might just tap it. Tap it on some places. Well, it's not 1 to 10. There we go. There we go. So you can just play with this until you're happy with the way it looks. I think that looks pretty cool, the way it is. Not too bad. Okay, so I'll let this dry, and once it's dry, I will come back through with something soft, just anything soft. I usually use just a wash rag, and you can polish this Gilder's paste, and it'll make it shine and it'll just really enhance it. And if after you've polished it, you want to come back in with another color or anything like that, you can certainly do that. You can play with this until it's perfectly the way you want it. And then we'll spray it. And I spray everything that I make with Rust-Oleum clear gloss. So that is what I use. And well, that's one of the types I use. Sometimes I use a clear spray enamel too. A lot of times I'll have that, but that's what I found this time. So anyway, I'll spray it front and back, and then I'll go in with these. This is a tool, and then it'll give it that curved shape that we're looking for, because we want it to fit on. We want it to fit on your against your wrist. We don't want it to lay like that. We want it to curve around your wrist. Okay, and then I'll make the copper findings, put the leather on there, and it'll be done. It'll be beautiful. All right, guys, so this lets you know how I alter tin a little bit more. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want to or just visit my Facebook page to see all my other creations, go right ahead. It's Atomica Nuclei. And maybe someday we'll discuss why it's called that. Anyway, have a great week. Bye.